Today we're speaking with Olympia qualified posing coach and full-time nurse who works in an acute care hospital. And she has been competing since 2015, placed in the top 3 with 2 overall wins in her amateur career before earning her pro card at North Americans in 2020. After that, she climbed from 16th place at her pro debut with 4 pro shows before winning first place at the Tokyo Pro, which is what solidified that qualification for the 2022 Olympia. I am really excited to learn from her and hear more about her journey and for you guys to hear it too. Welcome to the show, Yurika Shigemoto. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me on this show. I'm super excited to share whatever I can with you guys and yeah, just share my journey.
Yeah, me too. And we're doing video today, which I don't normally do, but I'm grateful to see your face. And I'm sure people listening, like, if you guys are listening, you want to watch the video of this, it'll probably be on my YouTube, which is at celestial_fit. So if you want to go check out the video portion, feel free to do that. But Eureka, I like to start these episodes out by asking, what is something you do or think about, or maybe a ritual you have right before your heel hits the stage?
I normally just try to relax. I mean, I do like to pump up, right before the show, but I try to like kind of get in the mood and I do love this stage. So like I've been a dancer for a very long time, like growing up. And then I did like cheerleading. So I'm like super used to stepping on stage. So I don't really get like stage fright or like I don't get super nervous. I just like to kind of like feel the music and just get ready for me to like perform on stage. And that makes me like super excited and happy. So yeah, so I just kind of like dance with the music and just kind of feel the mood and then just step right on stage. And that usually works. Like I don't get shaky or like I don't get nervous or like anything like that.
Wow. So you have this history as a performer that clearly is helping
Hmm.
you to then step on stage and bring that energy.
Yes, I think so. Because like when I was younger, I did like solo parts too. So like before I used to get super, super like nervous. And like I'll be like, oh my gosh, like what if I mess up? Like all the eyes are on me, like just me. But like after a while, I just start to get used to it. And then, now I love it. So that's kind of why I got into the sport too, because I've been like growing up performing. And like as you get older, there's like not much opportunities for you to like step on stage. But like as a bodybuilder, you get to step on stage, and that's like what I love to do. So,
Yes. So this is a passion
hmm
of yours for a long time. And I mean,
hmm
I love your posing. You have an amazing routine, like just
thank
the way,
you.
yes, your poise and the way you conduct yourself on stage and you have this confidence. And I was actually curious if that was always in you. So it sounds like it developed from a young age and bodybuilding allowed you to keep performing.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. I think it really helped me that I did dance before and then like I really love it. So like from the bottom of my heart, like it's not like something I'm forcing. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Now, when you started competing, you did phenomenal. You got overall win at your first show, and then you took 2 years off to
hmm
go to nursing school. And I was curious if
hmm
at that time you knew you were going to keep competing but needed the time off, or if you were just like, I'm just going to do this once and then go to nursing school.
So like my very first show, I actually like didn't really know what I was getting into. So I prepped for a show and then after I won, I was like, I'm never competing again because I was so traumatized with like how much, cardio I had to do and like so much like such a hard diet. And I just like didn't expect that. So I was like, after the show, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to nursing school and then um not compete again. But then like it just hit me like what I've accomplished and what I was able to do. And then I was thinking about that after, and I was like, I think I need to really get back into this sport. Like I love the stage, I love the grind. So yeah, that's how I'm still competing.
I love that. I had an interesting
Yeah.
experience, except I didn't win at my first show at all. I got like dead
hmm
last, But I remember thinking, gosh, I worked so hard and for what? But then
Yeah.
over time it like evolved. It's like if I love the lifestyle, live the lifestyle, I want to keep
Mhm.
going. And you did. You decided to get back into it. So how has your approach to prep evolved over the years?
It has evolved a lot. So I've been in this sport like 7 years. So 2015 was when I started. So initially I was like kind of like an on and like on season, off season kind of person. Like I know like when people start out, you just kind of like go on season for like 12 weeks or 16 weeks and then just kind of get off of it. And then you still work out, but not really like hardcore diet. So initially I was like that. I really love food. So I used to like always like kind of eat whatever I want initially. And then like after a while I was like, I need to put more into this sport and like make sure my off seasons are like, you know, preparing myself for a good season. So I think about like 2018, when I came back from like nursing school, I started getting serious about like off season, improvement season, and I really put a lot into like my off season. So I started like lifting like consistently, and then even on the off season, I like dieted. Yeah, so I think like I think it has evolved a lot, and then now like I feel like I'm finally like it's just part of my lifestyle where it's just probably not going to go back ever again to like being a normal person.
Totally. Like, I think
Yeah.
once you establish something that's sustainable too, like a sustainable
Hmm.
approach, whether that's more flexible or it's more of a release
Yeah.
of a timeline, it just
Hmm.
becomes your day to day. And I was actually kind of curious, a lot of people who identify themselves as foodies then resist or hold themselves back from pursuing a sport like this or even a fitness-based lifestyle. So how have you married the foodie side of you and the competitor side of you?
So it was really hard for me because I love food and I used to be like a Yelp elite and I would be like so I would like review like all these food places. I would actually eat out every single day.
Wow.
So yeah, so so like for me to like be on a strict diet like 24/7 like all the time, like this year I've been on prep like all year.
Yes.
So literally haven't eaten out like maybe like 5 days out of this year. I've eaten like outside food.
All
And
post
so
show.
yeah, post show. So like it's been like it's kind of been crazy, but like once you're like mentally in it, like you kind of become like a robot, I guess. And
Yeah.
like yeah, so I mean, I still love food. I'm still, I still look at food. I love watching people eat. I like feeding people.
Interesting. I can't
Yeah,
stand that. I do not, I can't stand the sound,
really,
the looks. It's like my biggest pet peeve, actually. So, like, people who
really.
watch, like, I think it's called mukbang or whatever. I'm like, nope, can't
Uh-huh.
do it. But I
Yeah,
do
it
like
makes you
cooking and
really,
baking shows.
oh yes. I really like watching people eat or like I like feeding people. And like when people are like, "Oh, I'm not hungry." I'm like, "Why? You need to eat for me." Yeah.
So,
So I always like to like feed.
how do you normally feel after a show then? Like when you enter an improvement season, do you ever struggle with that?
Yes, I absolutely do struggle. So like normally during a prep, like I wouldn't like, you know, struggle because like I know mentally I'm like getting ready for a show. But like once I'm off the stage and if I know I'm having like a longer off season, then I'm like, okay, I want to eat this, and like I just want to go crazy. And I think like a lot of people do struggle, but I feel like because I love food so much, I struggle like way more. So yeah, I've had really good reverse diets and I've also had really bad ones where I like kind of like ate whatever and then I try to like restrict myself. But yeah, the if it fits your macros has been really working well for me. So like I'm incorporating more variety, but not like going insanely crazy. Because if I like stick to chicken breast and rice, like after your prep, it's like, oh my gosh, like this is gonna make me like go crazy to like be on that for, forever and ever. So,
Absolutely. And it
mhm,
gives you that flexibility with structure. And then not to mention like after a show, like for me, I went from my prep into an improvement season, obviously, but with vacations and travel, travel, travel. And
mhm,
because I had the flexible dieting approach, I was able to incorporate meals out or track as best as I
yeah,
could. And I think it reduces a lot of the food fixation because it shows us if I want this
mhm,
thing, I can have it. It may not be like the whole serving, but I can have some of it and feel good.
yeah, for sure. I think like before I used to be like strictly on meal prep for like pretty like maybe like 2 to 3 years. Like even on and off season, I was like pretty strict on my meal plan. And then it like made me kind of like go crazy after. So like after like a long prep, like after my pro debut,
Mhm.
I was like, I'm just gonna eat whatever I want.
Yeah.
So it like made me so crazy at one point, and then I was like, I just have to like, you know, like it just like made me so fixated on food, I guess. And then like this prep, I did like more macro plan. So my coach would give me macros, and then I make my own choices on food. So I was able to incorporate like a lot of different food variety, and then it really helped me with like after.
Yeah, it does make a
Uh-huh.
difference. I feel like
Yeah.
both like meal plans can work, macro plans can work, but I know as far as like variety goes and that freedom, not fixating on things, I think macros is the way to go. Although it doesn't resolve an unhealthy relationship with food because then there's the aspect of
Yeah.
always tracking everything, seeing everything as numbers, and there's that side of it. But it's awesome you found
Hmm.
something that feels more like a lifestyle because you have been doing this for 7 years. And to that
Hmm.
point, I think sometimes there can be like criticism or judgment along the way. Did you ever experience any of that within like your field or your family or environment?
I think a lot of people are pretty supportive of my food choices. Like if I'm like at work and they're like, "Why are you always eating like dry chicken breast?" and like
Dry.
your food always looks so dry and like it's so boring. But like they don't like say anything like bad about it, I guess. Or like even if I'm like at a like a family thing and like if I'm eating something else, it doesn't really, I mean, they're all like friends and family, so they're like supportive of my goals. So even if I bring like food that's not what they're eating, they're not really judgmental about it. But it does help me like if I know that I can have like a little bit of something like when I'm, with them and then share a meal. So macro plan really helps me with that. But I mean, I know my limits. Like I'm not gonna be fitting in like, dirty foods like 3 weeks out or anything like that. So yeah.
Well, especially when macros are so low, it's very difficult to
Right.
do that.
Yeah, for sure.
So aside from the habit of macro tracking, in watching your YouTube videos, you share a lot of really cool habits. I really enjoyed your video on the yoga wheel and the stretching, and
Hmm.
I wanted to know how you got into the habit of doing that for your recovery and for your posing, etc.
Okay, so for stretching, I used to always do it like constantly because I was a dancer before, so like I always did like stretches and my flexibility's been like pretty good throughout. But for the yoga wheel, when I was on my old Team Atlas, my posing coach before she recommended me to do yoga wheel, and then I started like experimenting on like how to do it. So I started like playing around with it and seeing what I can do. And I get like pretty tight hip flexors from like all the lifting and like so I try to like incorporate that to make sure like every single lift is optimal and like my posing is better. Yeah. So I've been incorporating it like at least maybe like 3 to 4 times a week.
Okay.
Um, yeah, consistently.
Yeah, it's amazing because you shared your whole routine for the most part, it seemed, which is
Yeah.
awesome. So definitely, I'll be sure to put your YouTube in the show link, or the show notes.
Hmm.
But as
Thank you.
a posing coach yourself, what do you
Hmm.
see change, or what do you notice is different when someone implements a routine of stretching and yoga wheel versus not?
Okay, so I see this like, I think flexibility is like number one in posing, because like when you can't like twist a certain way, or if you can't like tilt your glutes a certain way, it doesn't like show off your muscles that you want to show off. So like if you're super tight in the hip flexors, or like the arch in the back, even if you have a lot of like glute muscles, it doesn't like pop. So I think like when I see clients do the yoga wheel, do the stretching, and start to get like really flexible, that's when I see like all these girls start to like get like a nice pop in their like upper glutes, and like, you know, in your front pose, there's from it's really hard to pop your glutes from your front pose, because you're like twisting and then tilting
Yes.
your glutes. So like I can see that like really like significant changes. Yeah, and it's super exciting, like, because I mean, it doesn't happen overnight, of course. Like you have to put in the work and like consistently do your stretches, but it does really help.
What do you think is a realistic time frame that someone could expect to actually see changes from committing to a routine? Let's say it was 3 times a week.
I think it would be maybe like a month or two. Yeah, if you do it consistently. Yeah.
Wow. And I'm asking because
Mm-hmm.
obviously you've got experience, you've seen people do this, you've done it yourself. And I know there's probably listeners
Mm-hmm.
who, and including myself, who are like, I have the tools, I'm just not doing it
Yeah.
as much. And it's nice to hear, it's motivating to hear, like, this is the result of these efforts. Like, this is what you can expect.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think it helps to stretch like when your body is warm. So like you don't want to like stretch like right when you wake up, when you're like super like rock hard. Like you want to do it like after cardio, or like after training, or like after you take a bath or like shower, and like your body is warm, so it like stretches out your muscles. And I think it helps way more than um just like stretching when your body's cold.
Yeah, that's something I noticed personally because I was like doing the yoga wheel when I'd wake up because it would like feel really good to like open up.
Yeah.
But I would also
Mhm.
feel exactly like that, like a
Mhm.
rock. And then I'd get off the yoga wheel and I'd be like, ow, what's happening to my
Mhm.
body?
Yeah.
So when
I
did
mean,
you start? Oh no, go ahead.
mhm. Oh, no, I mean, like any stretching is good, but I think there's like optimal times for stretching.
God, and yeah, you have that
Yeah.
background as a dancer too, so you have a lot of experience with that.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
when did you start posing coaching?
I started when I turned pro in 2020. So that's when I started coaching other athletes. And then I did have two of my girls turn pro after, once they
Wow.
started posing with me. Yeah, so it's super exciting. I do have a lot of athletes right now too, but all of them are amateurs, and we are working together and doing like some of them are like first show, and then some of them are doing nationals. So it's super exciting.
Love that. And do you have other habits you
Hmm.
execute on every day that you feel, or maybe that you share with some of your clients that you feel every competitor should consider having?
I do wear my waist trainer every day, so like during my lifts for sure, because I do have a pretty blocky waist. So I did like gymnastics before, and I used to work out my core like every single day. I would do like 100 reps of like V-ups every day. And then so like
Whoa.
it really like developed my core, which made my waist look really thick. So I stopped doing like all the ab workouts, and I've been incorporating more like waist training and then vacuums. Yeah, so I wear my waist trainer on workouts, and then also I wear it during work as well.
Oh wow. Okay. And
Hmm.
um I do actually, I meant to ask you as well with the posing and the posing coaching, because you had brought up that this is something you started in 2020, you've been doing a long time.
Mhm.
Are there things you think people should be considering before hiring a posing coach?
Um, I guess like it depends like if you want like a in-person posing coach or like a online posing coach. So I do like for people that live in Hawaii, I do like in-person posing coach, which really helps because I can like actually twist their bodies and like touch their, body and like put the put them in like a correct position that looks the best. But I think if you're okay with having like an online coach, you should be able to, you know, learn. I guess like you can learn from online just as well as in person. Yeah, but I guess it's just personal preference.
Okay, got it. Well, that's helpful. I
Yeah.
especially like the difference between the in-person and the online. And clearly you've been able to generate success for your clients. I think that's awesome. Now, how long
Hmm.
have you been in Hawaii?
I lived here for the past 10 years. Yeah, so it's been a
Wow,
while. Hmm.
that's awesome. And what brought you
Yeah.
here?
I came out here for school, for nursing school, or like for actually I came here as like a international what is it called? Exchange program.
Oh,
Yeah, and then I just stayed here.
that's awesome. Where are
Yeah.
you from originally?
So I'm from a lot of places. Like I was born in Germany and then I lived in Australia and then Japan and mainland. But I came here, like I started college in Japan. So I went 1 year in Japan and then I transferred here.
Wow, that's impressive. So what made you want to get into nursing?
So I was doing more of like a public health thing. So when I came here, I was doing like more public health and just doing like education for like health. And I was like, oh, I mean, like I can make a difference through like education, but you can't really like see like if it um reflected, like if your education actually reflected to them. But then in nursing, like you can kind of do like more hands-on. And like if you save a life, you'll see them alive. So it's like
Yeah.
it actually like I liked it more hands-on and like, people to people contact rather than like just through education.
So what is the type of work you're doing in the hospital?
So I am, so currently I'm in the resource team. So I used to work in a cardiac and burn unit. So I did like mostly like post open heart surgery patients or like cardiac cath patients or like burn patients. But now I am trained in like emergency room. I can do like radiology, hemodialysis. I can do like a lot of different specialties. So it doesn't like make me bored, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have like every time I go to work, I do something different. So wherever short staffed, they'll put me in that department.
That's amazing.
Hmm. Thank
What
you.
Yeah, seriously. And something that's always amazed me is when I talk to nurses anyways, I'm like, how are you emotionally supporting yourself when you witness certain things or you're helping certain people or you have to experience something that could be potentially very difficult? Like, how do you reset or
Hmm.
support yourself after that to then still give to yourself at the end of the day or the shift or the week?
That's a hard question because I do get really stressed out at work too. But I mean, like over time, you kind of learn to not like detach yourself, but like you do have to like go through a lot of things, and it does make you like super drained. But you have to like, I mean, lifting actually helps me with that because you release your stress and like you can lift really hard. Yeah, but I don't think you can take away. I mean, you you can't avoid going through all of that like emotional stress working as a nurse. So I try to, tell myself that it's separate from like my personal life. Yeah, so like once I'm at work, I'll go through all these things. I'll try to support all the families and patients. But then like once I'm like out of work, I try not to like think about it too much and like dwell on something that happened because that can like really consume you.
Yes, that is for sure.
Hmm.
Like, I
Yeah.
remember I would come home from the counseling center, because I
Hmm.
worked in, well, I got my degree in clinical mental health counseling and I had to do an internship, and I
Yeah.
would go to the site and then I would come home and I'm like, why am I thinking about it? And I realized it's because I wasn't changing my clothing immediately, so I smelled like the center, and it was like bringing me into all these like intense sessions.
Oh.
So I
Hmm.
started just like getting home and immediately changing and putting on pajamas, like rinsing off, and like it supported me in like leaving that at work or at
Hmm.
internship. But
Yeah.
it's definitely like unavoidable in that type of
Right.
field. And you've been in it for
Yeah.
a long time, and clearly you
Hmm.
said bodybuilding's been helping. And I think a big
Hmm.
part of progression or establishing a lifestyle for the long run is having bodybuilding and seeing bodybuilding as something that supports other areas. So how have you
Yeah.
managed like your work in the hospital with the time and the energy commitments of bodybuilding goals?
So it is like really difficult because, well, especially like during COVID, it was like super, super draining because I used to, I mean, like we work same hours, like 12 and a half hours, but like I would do like cardio before work, and then I would do work and then workout after, and then more cardio after work. So I was only sleeping like 3 hours, which is like not optimal at all.
Yeah.
And it was like also like in the midst of COVID, like in 2020, but that's when I actually turned pro. So like I went through like the prep was like really rough because
It was
like,
really
you know,
what?
the rough.
Oh, rough. Okay.
Yeah, because like I was like mentally drained, and then I also didn't have a gym, and then I wasn't like, you know, super hyper motivated because like there's like no good place for you to like work out. I was just working out in my living room
Yeah.
and like doing cardio and like the dusty like fire exit stairs in the apartment. Yeah, so that was like super rough, but like now I've gotten like really used to the routine of like working out after like a 12-hour shift or something. Like initially you're like, oh, I like this is impossible. Like I'm not going to be able to work out. Like this is too hard. But then like once you start doing it, becomes routine, and then like you know like that you can do it. So like after, I mean, initially when I started nursing, like 12 and a half hour shift was like draining for me. I was like, I'm not doing anything after my shift. Like there's nothing, like I'm gonna lay on the ground and that's it. But then you evolve to being able to do cardio before work. And then you evolve to being able to do cardio and workout and cardio. But then what helped me really like a lot this last prep was my coach actually like noticed that I'm a nurse, and like she wanted to incorporate ways to like better manage stress. So she was like, on work days or like we're gonna do more step counts. So instead of doing like 2 hour cardio per day or like stuff like that, she said like, okay, we're gonna do 18,000 steps per day. So at work I do like 15,000 or something like that, like a day. So when I come home, I'll just have to do like a 30-minute walk or something. And then it really, really helped me like reduce stress because I'm not like doing 1 hour before work, 1 hour after work, and all that like stepping at work. So, so yeah, now like I just do my step counts and like just extra cardio if I'm lacking in steps. Yeah,
That's
but I
really
think
nice.
yeah, you start to like learn and like start to incorporate how this fits into your lifestyle. So it's like better manageable.
Love that. Like really finding a way to make it work for your lifestyle versus against
Hmm.
it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's like how you um like are able to do this for a long time. Because if I did that for a long time, like with 2 hour cardio and a 12-hour shift, like I'm just gonna really burn out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously. It's very demanding. And it's like if you're working with your body, that's going to take you
Hmm.
so much further than working against your body. And I think a lot of that too is like a mindset. And you've talked about in the
Hmm.
past how just by changing your mindset, you elicited more progress with your physique
Right.
too.
Right.
So,
Hmm.
what are some things that you've had to shift mentally? I know, especially in this last prep, you had something happen or there were some different things that you faced, but like,
Yeah.
what have you had to shift mentally or emotionally to actually make more progress needed as an athlete?
So this last prep, I guess, so I never like actually did so many back-to-back shows like this before. Cause like I said, like, I work long hours and like a prep is really draining. So like I give my body a break like after each prep. But this year I've been like competing consistently because it's like um it better fits into my lifestyle with this new coach. And so for this prep, like because I was like really or actually let me back up. So after my Japan show, like my dog has passed away. And then I was like really, really sad, like, cause it was like my baby, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like super like depressed, and I was like, I don't know, like I don't want to do this. Like I just went into that like mentally like dark phase, and like I couldn't help it. But then after a while, I was like, okay, I need to shift my mind back into prep because, I have to prep for the Olympia and I wanted to do the Shanghai Hawaiian Classic, which is like not too far away. So like when my mind was not there, like I saw my body like starting to get like worse and worse. And I was like, oh my gosh, like why do I look like this? Like I know like my stress was like definitely affecting like my cortisol levels and stuff like that. So like I know I was holding so much water and like I looked terrible and I was like getting so anxious because I was like, oh my gosh, I can't be looking like this. And then like once I shifted my mind and started like really focusing on the prep and like focusing on what my goal was and like getting through that phase, like my body like really started like changing. So like I was not holding that much water anymore and like yeah, I started dropping more weight. I mean, it did take me a little grind to get down. Yeah, because I think my body was like kind of used to that like off season phase after prep. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this girl is like getting back into shape again. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah. And then I just had to like really push the cardio, get my diet back down to like really low macros. But yeah, I think once you're mentally there, like prep gets easier. Cause like when your mind is like, oh, I don't want to do this, then like even 1 hour of cardio is like super hard. But like when you're mentally there, when you're like focused on your goal, like 2 hour cardio is like nothing.
Yeah,
So
that's so true.
yeah.
It's definitely a mental game. At least like
Hmm.
you have to be priming your mind to support you through the demands you're placing on your body because if not, it's just going to be terrible all around. So at least if
Yes.
you're like, I'm grateful, I'm excited, I'm ready, I
Yes.
have this goal, I'm gonna crush it. And you have,
Hmm.
like, clearly you did those 3 back-to-back shows. And when you compare your 2022 season to your 2021 season, things
Hmm.
change. So what did
Yes.
you like, what were you working on, or maybe what feedback did you have to then bring your best this year and ultimately achieve the bodybuilder dream to qualify for the O?
Yeah. So like last year I did pretty badly. So like my pro debut, it was like 16th place, like third call outs, and like pretty much all they said to me like was grow.
Okay.
Like grow period. Like that's like everywhere. Like so I look like pretty much like a string bean. I was like dieted down to the max. Like there
Yeah.
was no like pop in muscles or like fullness. It was just like I was shredded, of course, like super, super shredded. Like I could see like my hamstring veins and like super,
Girl, yes, your
super
story
lean.
post with the hamstring veins.
Yeah, so like I was super lean, but then like they wanted me to grow.
Yeah.
So I took like a year off and like I really focused on growing my muscles. Like and then I think the main thing, like I switched coaches and like after that, she's been really helping me like um incorporate like everything into my lifestyle more and like to get more rest and more recovery. And that's what I was like really lacking before because I was like pushing heavy weights and like pushing really hard in a prep, but I was not growing.
Right.
So yeah, so I made sure I get more sleep this prep. Like I've never slept this much like
Wow. How
in
are
a
you doing
long
that?
time.
How are you
So
helping
like
yourself to sleep?
so I mean like I do I mean like the step counts and stuff definitely like helps. So it reduces my hours of cardio, so I'm like able to sleep more. And then I also take the global formula supplements bio sleep.
Mm,
And it's like, yeah, it actually like really helps you like get into the deep sleep so you can actually like release more growth hormone while you're sleeping. So I've been taking that this whole year, since last year. So I think that's helped a lot in like recovering muscles and like, growing while you're sleeping. But also my sleep time has increased from like 3 hours to like at least 6 to 7 hours a night. So it's like double the sleep.
wow.
Yeah. So I think like that's how I see so much growth. And then I worked out 6 days a week in my like previous preps, like consistently. Even if I'm so tired, I would always be like 6 days a week, 6 days a week, like every week. But then now I only work out 5 days a week. And so like I feel like more is not more.
Mm,
So like sometimes like less is more. If you're like, if you're really pushing on those 5 workouts and then recovering on the other days, then you have like your muscles to, you give muscle your time to recover. And then like the next time you work out, you really have like more energy to push and like you're much recovered. So it's been like working super well for me.
good. I love that. And
Hmm.
it's so nice to hear people share that because I know when I started, I was doing the same thing. And even for years and years and years, it was like 6 days a
Yeah.
week, multiple
Yeah.
cardio sessions. Sometimes like it was like the training, the
Hmm.
double cardio, everything.
Hmm.
And then I stopped doing that. And I literally, in my last prep towards the end, because I had to do a lot of conditioning, I literally was
Yeah.
prioritizing cardio and my weightlifting went down like 3 to 4 days a week sometimes because of how hard we were
Oh. Hmm.
pushing everywhere else. So, but that let me
Hmm.
recover and keep fullness or, that supported it. And then now, as I can say the same thing, like with less training days in a week, I have so much
Hmm.
more motivation and drive and excitement for the training days because I have
Right.
more to
Right.
give to them?
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
So
You're
I'm
like so excited. You're like, okay.
exactly, you're actually ready to go back and lift because you had a recovery. Like today's a recovery day for me, and it's middle of the
Okay.
week. So it's kind of
Yeah.
nice because now I have the rest of the week and I'll do another recovery, but it's like when you have those extra days, it also helps your schedule and prioritize other things. So, yeah.
Hmm.
So, I want to talk to you about your Olympia qualification.
Yes.
That smile, I love it. So, what was that moment like for you?
So it was surreal. Like I knew like this when I started this season, like the first one I did was Pacific USA's, and then I was just like training. I mean, of course you want to win a show and like you train hard for many, many years, but like you want to you don't want to like hype yourself up too much to like, so I was like, okay, like if I can make it to like top 10, like or top 5 this year, like I would be so happy. And like I actually didn't expect to place third at Pacific USA's like at all. So I knew I was bringing my best package, but I knew there was like Olympians on the stage, and then you know, like I placed 16th place. I was like, okay, like I just want to do well, like better than the last time. So when I got third place, I was like, oh my gosh, like, is this me? Like, is this real? Like, I think I might have hope. And then so I went into doing like Nashville Fit Show, and then I placed fourth out of like, I think like 38 or 36 competitors. So I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm doing so well this season. And then I got like super excited. And then so I knew like in Japan, I was like, I'm gonna bring my absolute best to see if I can like, you know, qualify for the Olympia. And it would be so meaningful to me because, you know, my sisters, you know, lives there and like, you know, I have family there, my friends. So they were gonna come watch. So I was like, okay, like I'm gonna just bring my best, like no expectation. Yeah. And then I just got the judges' feedback and, you know, run with it. Yeah. And then I was like, I don't know, it just happened. And then it was like so surreal. I was like, I couldn't like, I didn't even cry. My sister was like, why didn't you cry? And I was like, I didn't know what was happening. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So it was,
amazing.
yeah, absolutely a surreal experience. Like I just like couldn't believe it happened still.
Yeah, that is so awesome. Now, what do you feel had to change in your journey as a pro to go from 16th at your pro debut to top 5 and then securing the qualification?
I think just like incorporating so much like I guess the prep has really changed this year. So like I know like I had more, you know, like more resting and like, you know, more recovery, like just to feel better about myself because last prep I was like suffering. Like every single day I was like not like I was drained, suffering. Like there was no like I guess like there was like not much spark
Yeah.
to the prep. Like I was getting things done each day and I was like 2 hours cardio, like check. Like diet, like 100, like 1,000 calories, check. Like that's like just trying to like get through the day and survive.
Yeah.
But this prep, it's been more like an enjoyable experience.
Mm.
So like it was like, okay, like I can do my like I can still work, I can still do my steps, I can complete everything. I still have energy. I'm recovering well. My muscles are growing. So it was like a much like more like enjoyable experience. And then I'm doing macros, I'm eating more and like I'm eating varieties. I'm not like so restricted and I don't feel like death all the time.
Yeah.
So
Seriously.
like yeah, so I was like I think my like that really changed me mentally. And I know like we spoke before, like mental changes really lead to your physical changes. So that has really brought me to the next level and like I'm super excited and I think you can see it in my posing too. Like
Yes.
whenever I was on stage, like last year, I was like, I hated like how I looked like a string bean. And I was like, before the stage, I was like, I want to cry because I don't look the way I want to look. So of course, like when you step on stage, like you can see that in your face. Like, you know, you can see like you're trying to hide it and you're smiling, but like it doesn't like radiate from within that you're confident. And I think like the judges can see that. Yeah, so now like I've changed the way I prep, like I changed the way I feel about myself and my mental changes like really helped me like pose better. I mean like I can like radiate from within that I'm confident because I know I love how I look. Yeah, and then I think it really helped me get to this point of Olympia qualification this year.
I
So I'm
love
super
that.
thankful of my coach. Yeah.
Yeah, things have changed so much for you where now you're probably going to be a multiple time Olympian because you've got that mentality, that focus, that drive, the
Mhm.
intention, the lifestyle. So it's going to be really cool to just witness this journey and I'll be there. So I'll be cheering you on.
Yay!
Yeah, I can't wait.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And I want to know, like, what do you hope to bring to the Olympia stage? Like, what is your focus?
So I just want to bring my best to the stage. Like it's my first Olympia, so like I'm not going in with any expectation. I just want to bring the best package and I just want to perform with confidence. I want to love my physique and really represent and yeah, just enjoy the stage, I guess. Like I'm not gonna, put myself like, okay, I want to make top something or anything like that because there's gonna be like 57 competitors, I think. Yeah. So it's gonna
57?
be I
Jeez.
think so, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
I know it's insane. So I'm just gonna go out there and just bring my best and see where I land. I mean, of course, I want to, higher the better, but I think like once I know I love my physique and I know like I'm confident, they'll really see it within me. So I just gotta see what the judges think.
So in 2021, I want to say it was
Mhm.
last year, I asked girls who'd been on my podcast to come on if they were qualified for the Olympia, or I mean, send me a voice memo of them sharing like what they would say if they won. So if you were to win the Olympia, like what do you think you would want people to know or hear from that journey?
Oh my gosh.
On the spot.
Okay, that is a hard one, but I think like so I've been getting so many messages from like especially like full-time working competitors or like even like Asian competitors with like not too optimal genetics because I know like I'm 100% Asian. So I don't have like the glute genetics or like compared to the other competitors. I just want to say like don't give up. Like there's always like if you work hard, you're going to get somewhere. And even if you're not doing well currently, like I wasn't doing well last year, things can really change if you keep going with consistency. So just don't give up. Like don't lose hope just because you're like not doing well right now. Or like even if you're doing well, like just keep going and make sure that you give your best. And if you love this sport with a passion, like you're gonna get there. So if you have a dream, just make sure you chase it because you don't want to regret.
Love
And
that.
don't let anybody like tell you, yeah, that your genetics are not optimal, or don't let anybody tell you that you can't get there. So yeah.
That's amazing. That's I
Yeah,
usually
you can
ask at the
definitely.
I usually ask at the end of podcasts for the guest best advice. I feel like that was like the best advice that you could have given. But is there anything you would say to someone else, maybe on their road to pro or new to the sport, that you would want to add to that? But I mean, that was beautiful, so don't feel pressured to. But I wanted to
Uh-huh.
mention that just in case.
Um, I guess like for like I guess new competitors, you can definitely like do a lot of like research. Yeah, and then just start to learn about yourself. It's not about what other people tell you to do. Like, there's like all different types of dieting, all different types of training. You have to actually find out what works for you because, it's not just like one standard prep. It's you have everybody has different like lifestyles. Like I said, some people work 12-hour shifts, some people only, don't work. And some people have really good genetics who can eat more and do less cardio. And there's people that have to do like always have to do 2 hours of cardio and eat little tiny amounts, which is me. But like you kind of start to learn about yourself, and just because other people are doing something, it doesn't mean it's always going to work for you. So just you know, don't just take in what other people tell you. You have to make sure you know it for yourself, like what works for you. So if something's not working, you just have to explore options and see what's like the best. So you can do this for a long time and be happy. And yeah, it's going to be a long ride, but it's going to be really good. Like it's going to be worth it.
It seems like you feel that your journey was definitely worth all of the learning
Hmm.
experiences.
For sure. definitely rough times, a lot of rough times, but definitely great times as well. And every little thing, every little struggle is worth
Yes, I could not agree more. Like it's teaching us things, it's giving us insight into our life or ourselves, our abilities, and
it. Hmm.
we overcome difficulties with things that are outside of bodybuilding. Like you had to endure the grief and you've had to face things with your work and trying to find what works best for you. And you have, which is
Hmm.
awesome. So you're living by example, you're posing coaching, you've got your nursing job. So is there anything I didn't ask you that I should have asked you before we wrap this up?
Um, I don't think so. I think we covered a lot and I was able to share a lot, so I'm super happy.
Yeah, me too. So how
Yeah.
can everybody connect with you and maybe work with you too?
You can for now, I just do like direct messages and then I'll send them like my information. I don't have like a website yet. I know like my like available times are kind of like restricted because I do work full time as well, but I try to incorporate helping others more. And right now I'm just like in the midst of like prep, so I don't think I'm going to take any new clients for the next 2 weeks, but after the Olympia I'll be opening more slots for posing coaching.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll make
Yeah.
sure to, because this will come out after the Olympia, so it'll be
Okay.
perfect. Yeah, and if anything changes, like with your booking, you can send it over to me and I'll put it in the show notes for you or make sure that my
Mhm.
assistant does that. And then what is your Instagram and YouTube handle?
My Instagram is Eureka _IFBB Pro. And then my YouTube is just my name, Yurika Shigemoto.
Awesome. So again, I'll put that in the show notes page. You guys listening, definitely check that out. I've enjoyed watching her YouTube videos today. It
Thank
was really
you.
kind of got me in that mode for our podcast. Love it.
Awesome.
I've been following you since your last coach, and then seeing your journey and your evolution has been really cool. And I appreciate you taking the time to come on and share so much of your journey with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. And to everybody listening, hope you have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode. Just make it awesome.